The presentation glowed on the conference room screen at 2:47 a.m. Sophia Chen rubbed her burning eyes, the city lights 40 floors below blurring into streaks of gold and white. She had 3 hours to perfect the pitch that would make or break her career. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Her spine stiffened. Nobody worked this late. Nobody except her. The door opened. Jonathan Rivers filled the frame. His tie loosened, shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows. The CEO looked as exhausted as she felt, but his steel gray eyes were sharp, focused entirely on her. "Working late, Miss Chen." It wasn't a question. "The Mitchell presentation is tomorrow. Today, technically." She turned back to her laptop, willing her pulse to slow. 3 years of carefully maintained professional distance, and he still made her hands shake. He moved closer. She could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. "You always push yourself too hard." "That's how people like me survive in places like this." The words hung between them, sharp with unspoken meaning. People like her. Women who clawed their way up without family money or Ivy League connections. Women who couldn't afford a single mistake. Jonathan's jaw tightened. "Show me what you have." For the next hour, they worked in tense silence. His suggestions were brilliant, transforming her good presentation into something extraordinary. Their hands brushed over the keyboard. Their shoulders touched as they leaned over the screen. The air grew thick with something dangerous. "There," Jonathan straightened. "That's perfect." Sophia looked up at him, gratitude warming her chest. "Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you." "Yes, you could have." His voice dropped lower. "You're the most talented person in this building, Sophia. You just refuse to see it." The way he said her name made her breath catch. She stood, needing distance, needing air. "I should go. It's late." She grabbed her bag and headed for the elevator. He followed. The doors slid open and they stepped inside together. Alone, enclosed. The elevator descended in silence. Sophia stared at the numbers dropping, willing them to move faster. 38th floor, 37th, 36th. I lied. She turned to face him. "What? Earlier, when I said you couldn't have done it without me, that was a lie." Jonathan's eyes burned into hers. "The truth is, I came here tonight because I knew you'd be working late. I've memorized your schedule, Sophia. I know when you drink your coffee. I know you bite your lip when you're concentrating. I know I'm completely obsessed with you and I can't pretend anymore." Her back hit the elevator wall. "Jonathan, don't. Tell me you don't feel this." He stepped closer, caging her in. "Tell me your heart isn't racing right now. You're my boss. I'm a man who's been half in love with you for 3 years. The words shattered something inside her. Before she could think, before she could remember all the reasons this was impossible, she grabbed his collar and pulled him down. The kiss was electric, desperate, 3 years of tension igniting in seconds. His hands tangled in her hair as she gasped against his mouth, tasting coffee and want and terrible, beautiful mistake. Then reality crashed back. Sophia shoved him away, her lipstick smeared across his mouth, her chest heaving. "This can't happen. Sophia, please. No." She slammed her hand against the emergency stop button. The elevator lurched to a violent halt between the 20th and 21st floors, throwing them both against the walls. Emergency lighting bathed everything in hellish red. "Let me out," she whispered. Jonathan's hand covered the button, knuckles white. "Not until we talk about what just happened." "There's nothing to discuss. That kiss was a mistake. A mistake that's been building for 3 years. The ventilation system hummed around them. They were trapped, 40 floors above the sleeping city, suspended between their old lives and whatever came next. Sophia pressed herself harder against the wall, but there was nowhere to go. "I won't be the woman who slept her way to the top," she said, and her voice broke on the words. "I've worked too hard, sacrificed too much. Look at me." Jonathan's voice was raw. "Look at me and tell me you felt nothing." She couldn't. God help her, she couldn't. "My last job," she whispered. "I had an affair with a senior partner. When it ended, everyone knew. They called me names, questioned every achievement. I had to start over from nothing because I let one man destroy my reputation." Understanding flooded Jonathan's face, followed quickly by rage. Who was he? It doesn't matter. What matters is that I won't make that mistake again. This isn't the same thing. Isn't it? She laughed bitterly. You're the CEO, Jonathan. I'm gunning for senior director. If anyone found out about that kiss, my career would be over. Jonathan stared at her, conflict warring in his eyes. Then he did something she didn't expect. He stepped back. You're right. His voice was hollow. I'm sorry. I should never have put you in this position. Relief and disappointment twisted in her gut. She should be grateful. This was what she wanted. So why did it feel like losing? Jonathan reached for the button to restart the elevator, his hand trembling slightly. For what it's worth, he said quietly, not looking at her. I would never let anyone question your achievements. Your talent speaks for itself. The elevator lurched back to life. They descended in agonizing silence. When the doors finally opened in the lobby, Sophia stepped out on shaking legs. She made it 3 steps before Jonathan's voice stopped her. Sophia, she turned. His eyes were dark with something that looked like desperation. Like a man watching his last chance slip away. The board meets Thursday to discuss promotions. You're getting senior director. I'm making sure of it. Her blood ran cold. What did you just say? You deserve it. I'm going to make it happen. No. The word ripped from her throat. Don't you dare. Don't you dare use your position to manipulate my career. That's not what I'm doing. That's exactly what you're doing. Fury blazed through her. You're so used to getting what you want. You can't even see how wrong this is. You just offered to buy me with a promotion, Jonathan. Do you understand how insulting that is? His face went white. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. She turned and walked away, her heels echoing in the empty lobby. She didn't look back. But as she pushed through the revolving doors into the cold morning air, one thought consumed her. That kiss had ruined everything, and God help her, she wanted to do it again. Thursday morning arrived wrapped in thunderclouds. Sophia sat in the conference room, her presentation notes trembling in her hands. The Mitchell pitch had been flawless. 3 board members had personally congratulated her. She should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt sick. The promotion announcements were scheduled for 10 a.m. It was 9:47. She hadn't seen Jonathan since the elevator. Hadn't returned his calls or emails. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt his mouth on hers, tasted his desperation. Sophia Chen, Marcus Webb, the COO, stood in the doorway. His expression was carefully neutral, which immediately set off alarm bells. The board would like to see you. Her stomach dropped. This wasn't how promotions were announced. Something was wrong. She followed Marcus through the executive floor, past Jonathan's closed office door. Voices filtered through the heavy wood, raised in argument. The boardroom was full. 12 executives sat around the mahogany table, their faces a mixture of professional courtesy and barely concealed hostility. Jonathan stood at the head of the table, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscle jumping. Miss Chen. Margaret Thornton, the board chair, gestured to an empty seat. Please sit. Sophia remained standing. What's this about? We've received some concerning information. Margaret's voice was ice. Information regarding your relationship with Mr. Rivers. The room tilted. Sophia gripped the back of the chair to steady herself. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't insult us. Marcus leaned forward. Building security footage from Monday night shows you and Jonathan in the elevator together for 47 minutes. The emergency stop was activated from inside. Her blood turned to acid. They knew. Someone had been watching. Nothing happened, she said, but her voice came out too thin, too desperate. We have a witness who saw you kiss him in the conference room beforehand. Margaret's eyes were sharp. This corporation has a strict policy against fraternization between executives and subordinates. Sophia's gaze snapped to Jonathan. He looked destroyed, his face gray with shock. Who? The word barely made it past her lips. Who told you? That's not relevant, Margaret stood. What's relevant is that you've compromised your professional integrity and Mr. Rivers' judgment. The board has decided that under these circumstances, promoting you to senior director would send the wrong message. The words hit like physical blows. Sophia felt her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. This is insane. Jonathan's voice cracked through the room. Sophia is the most qualified candidate by every metric. Her work speaks for itself. Your judgment is clearly compromised. Marcus didn't bother hiding his contempt. This is exactly why we have these policies. Then fire me. Jonathan slammed his hands on the table. But don't punish her for my mistake. Your mistake? Sophia turned on him, fury and humiliation boiling over. This is what you wanted, isn't it? To force my hand. To make me dependent on you. What? No. Horror flooded his face. Sophia, I would never do that. Then who told them? Her voice rose. Who knew about the elevator except us? Silence fell like a guillotine blade. Then Margaret spoke again, and her words changed everything. Mr. Rivers told us himself. Sophia couldn't breathe. The room spun. She stared at Jonathan, watching his face confirm the impossible truth. You reported us? The words came out strangled. You destroyed my career? It wasn't like that. He moved toward her, hands outstretched. I came to the board Tuesday morning to recuse myself from the promotion decision. I wanted to ensure your advancement was completely merit-based. I never thought they would react this way. You stupid, arrogant man. Tears blurred her vision. You thought you could control this. Thought you could manipulate the situation to get what you wanted while keeping your conscience clean. I was trying to protect you. By telling them we kissed? By putting a target on my back? She laughed, the sound jagged and broken. I told you what happened at my last job. I told you what they did to me, and you went ahead and did it anyway. Miss Chen. Margaret's voice cut through their confrontation. The board has made its decision. We're offering you a generous severance package if you choose to resign. If not, we'll have to terminate your employment. The words didn't make sense. Couldn't make sense. You're firing me? We're giving you the option to leave with dignity. Sophia looked around the room at the faces of people she'd worked with for 3 years. Faces that had smiled at her in meetings, complimented her presentations, promised her a future. Not one of them met her eyes. Who saw us kiss? She asked again, voice steady now with cold clarity. Someone had to have seen us to report it. Who was it? Margaret hesitated, then sighed. Rebecca Martinez from your team submitted a formal complaint Tuesday afternoon. She claimed you were using your relationship with Mr. Rivers to gain unfair advantage. Rebecca, her protégée, the junior marketer she'd mentored for 2 years, guided through projects, fought to get raises for. The betrayal cut deeper than any of it. I want to hear it from her. Sophia pulled out her phone. Rebecca works from home Thursdays. Let's call her right now. That's not necessary, Marcus said quickly. I think it is. Jonathan's voice was deadly quiet. His eyes had gone cold, calculating. In fact, I'd like to review the security footage myself, all of it, including timestamps. Margaret shifted uncomfortably. That's not appropriate given your involvement. My involvement? Jonathan moved around the table with predatory grace. Let me tell you what I think happened. I think someone has been looking for an excuse to remove Sophia because her talent threatens them. I think Rebecca Martinez has been angling for senior director herself, and I think one of you promised her the position if she helped eliminate the competition. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. That's a serious accusation, Marcus said. Then prove me wrong. Show me the footage. Let me see exactly what Rebecca claims she saw and when she saw it. Margaret's silence was damning. Sophia's mind raced, pieces clicking into place. The way Rebecca had been asking strange questions lately about her schedule. The morning she'd found her office door slightly ajar. The way Marcus had smiled when delivering the bad news. This was a setup, she whispered. You wanted me gone. Don't be paranoid, Marcus said, but his eyes flickered to Margaret. Jonathan saw it too. His face hardened into something dangerous. Here's what's going to happen. His voice carried the full weight of his authority. Sophia is getting her promotion. Rebecca Martinez is fired for filing a false report. And anyone on this board who was involved in this scheme has exactly 24 hours to resign before I have you investigated for corporate sabotage. You can't do that. Margaret's composure finally cracked. The board has authority over personnel decisions. And I have authority over the board. Jonathan's smile was razor sharp. Or have you forgotten who the majority shareholder is? I built this company. I can tear it down just as easily. The threat hung in the air, lethal and absolute. Sophia should have felt vindicated. Instead, she felt hollow. Stop. Her voice cut through the tension. Just stop. Everyone turned to look at her. I don't want the promotion. She stood straighter, lifting her chin. Not like this. Not with everyone wondering if I earned it or if the CEO forced it through to cover up a scandal. Sophia, please, Jonathan said. No. She gathered her dignity like armor. I came to this company 3 years ago with nothing but my talent and my determination. I'm leaving the same way. You're not leaving. Jonathan moved to block her path. I won't let them do this to you. You already did. The words fell between them like stones. The moment you went to that board, you did exactly what I begged you not to do. You made my career about us instead of about me. Pain flashed across his face, raw and devastating. I was trying to do the right thing. The right thing would have been leaving me alone. She stepped around him. The right thing would have been respecting my choice. She made it to the door before his voice stopped her one last time. If you walk out that door, I'm resigning too. Sophia turned slowly. What? Jonathan's eyes burned into hers. If they fire you, I'm done. This company doesn't deserve you, and I won't be part of an organization that treats its best people this way. Don't you dare make this about nobility. Her voice shook. Don't you dare sacrifice your career to soothe your conscience. It's not about conscience. He closed the distance between them. It's about choosing what matters, and you matter more than any of this. The boardroom erupted in protests, but Sophia heard none of it. She stared at Jonathan, at the fierce determination in his face, and felt something inside her crack wide open. He meant it. He would actually walk away from everything he'd built. For her. You're insane, she whispered. Probably. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. So what do you say? Should we burn this place down together? Margaret's voice cut through the moment like ice water. If you're both quite finished with the dramatics, I'd like to remind you that resignation or termination proceedings will take weeks. In the meantime, Miss Chen, you're suspended without pay pending investigation. Mr. Rivers, the board will be calling an emergency vote on your leadership. Sophia felt the trap closing. This wasn't over. It was just beginning, and the worst part? She still didn't know if Jonathan's grand gesture was love or just another form of control. She turned away from him and walked out. This time, she didn't look back. Rain hammered against Sophia's apartment windows. 3 days since the boardroom disaster. 3 days of silence from the company. 3 days of Jonathan's calls going unanswered. She sat on her couch in the dark, laptop open, systematically destroying her career for a second time. The email drafts glowed on her screen. She'd written to every major competitor, every headhunter she knew, every connection she'd carefully cultivated over the years. The message was simple. She was available. Immediately. Her phone buzzed. Another message from Jonathan. She didn't read it. The intercom crackled to life, making her jump. Miss Chen, there's a Jonathan Rivers here to see you. Her heart stuttered. Tell him I'm not home. He says it's an emergency. He says someone's been following you. The words sent ice through her veins. Sophia moved to the window, peering down at the rain-slicked street 4 stories below. A black sedan sat parked across the street, engine running, windows tinted. She grabbed her phone and buzzed him up. Jonathan arrived dripping wet, his designer suit ruined, his eyes wild. He pushed past her into the apartment, immediately moving to the windows and pulling the curtains closed. How long has that car been there? He demanded. I don't know. A few hours? Sophia crossed her arms. Jonathan, what's going on? He turned to face her, and she saw genuine fear in his expression. I hired a private investigator to look into Rebecca's complaint, to find out who put her up to it. He ran a hand through his wet hair. Sophia, this goes so much deeper than we thought. What are you talking about? Marcus Webb. He's been embezzling from the company for 18 months. Small amounts at first, then larger. He's siphoned off nearly $3 million. The number staggered her. That's impossible. How? Fake vendor accounts, inflated contracts, ghost employees. He's been brilliant about it. Jonathan started pacing. But you were getting too close. Me? I work in marketing, not finance. The Mitchell account. You were reviewing their entire portfolio, remember? All those vendor contracts and payment schedules. If you'd gotten the promotion, you would have had access to executive financial reports. Sophia's mind raced back through the presentation. The contracts she'd reviewed, the numbers that had seemed slightly off, but she'd attributed to accounting quirks. He needed me gone. He needed you discredited before you could see the pattern. Jonathan stopped pacing. Rebecca was just a pawn. Marcus promised her your promotion and a $50,000 bonus. He fed her information about when we'd be in the building, told her to file the complaint at exactly the right time. How do you know all this? Because my investigator found bank records. Wire transfers from an offshore account Marcus controls to Rebecca's mother's medical fund. Her mother has stage 4 cancer, Sophia. She's drowning in debt. Marcus exploited that. The revelation hit her like a fist. Rebecca's increasingly desperate demeanor over the past few months suddenly made sense. The stress lines around her eyes, the way she'd been taking personal calls in hushed, frantic tones. She didn't have a choice, Sophia whispered. None of us did. Jonathan moved closer. Marcus orchestrated this entire thing. The security footage, the board meeting, all of it. He turned our kiss into a weapon because he knew it would destroy both of us. Why tell me this now? Because he knows we're investigating. And because people who threaten Marcus Webb tend to have accidents. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Sophia's gaze drifted back to the sedan outside. You think he sent someone to hurt me? I think he's capable of anything, Jonathan's voice dropped. And I think you need to leave, tonight. I have a safe house upstate. No one knows about it. You'll be protected until we can bring this to the authorities. Absolutely not. Sophia's spine stiffened. I'm not running, and I'm not hiding. This isn't about pride. It's exactly about pride. She stepped closer to him. For 3 years, I've let fear control my choices. Fear of what people would think. Fear of ruining my reputation. Fear of being vulnerable. I'm done running. Sophia, please. He's dangerous. So am I. Her eyes flashed. You want to bring him down? Then let's bring him down. Together. Jonathan stared at her, conflict warring in his expression. Then slowly something shifted. The fear in his eyes transformed into something else. Respect. Maybe even admiration. You're serious. Completely. She grabbed her laptop. Your investigator found bank records. What else does he have? Emails, internal memos, security footage from Marcus's office showing him accessing the financial systems. It's enough to prosecute, but we need more for conviction. We need someone on the inside willing to testify. Rebecca. The name came to Sophia instantly. If she knows her mother's treatment was paid for with embezzled funds, she might cooperate, especially if we can offer her immunity. She betrayed you. She was desperate. Sophia's voice softened. I understand desperation. I've been there. Jonathan watched her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. When this is over, when Marcus is in prison and your name is cleared, we need to talk. Really talk. About what happened in that elevator. Jonathan, there's nothing to talk about. There's everything to talk about. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides. I made a terrible mistake going to that board. I thought I was protecting you, but I was really just trying to control a situation I couldn't control. I'm sorry. Truly deeply sorry. The sincerity in his voice cracked something in her chest. Sophia wanted to stay angry, to keep him at arm's length where it was safe. But standing here in her dark apartment with rain hammering the windows and danger lurking outside, safety felt less important than truth. I'm scared, she admitted. Not of Marcus. Of this, of you. Of what I feel when you look at me like that. Like what? Like I matter more than anything else in the world. Jonathan's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. You do matter. You matter so much it terrifies me. She should pull away. Should maintain boundaries. Should remember all the reasons this was complicated and messy and potentially disastrous. Instead, she leaned into his touch. If we do this, she whispered, if we try to be something other than boss and employee, we do it right. No secrets. No manipulation. No using your position to influence my career. Agreed. And if it doesn't work, if we crash and burn, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise you won't make me choose between you and my career again." Pain flickered across his face. "I never wanted you to make that choice, but I had to anyway." She held his gaze. "I need to know that won't happen again." Jonathan was quiet for a long moment, processing her words. Then he nodded slowly. "I promise. Your career is yours. Your choices are yours. I'll support whatever you decide, even if it takes you away from me." The vow felt sacred, binding. Sophia rose on her toes and pressed her lips to his. This kiss was different from the elevator. Softer, deliberate. A promise instead of a surrender. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Jonathan rested his forehead against hers. "We should call Rebecca," he murmured. "Set up a meeting. Tomorrow." Sophia's hands fisted in his wet shirt. "Tonight I just need this. Need to feel like something in my life makes sense." They made it 3 steps toward the bedroom before her phone rang. The number was blocked. Sophia's stomach clenched, but she answered. "Hello? Miss Chen." The voice was electronically distorted, robotic. "You need to stop investigating Marcus Webb." Jonathan went rigid beside her, hearing the voice through the speaker. "Who is this?" "Someone who's trying to save your life. Drop the investigation. Walk away. Forget everything you think you know." "And if I don't?" The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then, "Check your email." The line went dead. Sophia's hands shook as she opened her inbox. "One new message, no subject line." She clicked it. The video that loaded made her blood run cold. It showed her sister, Natalie, walking out of her office building in Boston, completely unaware she was being filmed. The timestamp was from 2 hours ago. "Oh, God." The phone slipped from Sophia's fingers. Jonathan caught it, his face going white as he watched the footage. "They know where my sister works," Sophia whispered. "They're threatening Natalie." Jonathan's arm came around her, steadying her. "We call the police, right now, and tell them what? That someone sent us a video of my sister walking down a public street?" Hysteria bubbled in her throat. "They haven't actually done anything. This is just a warning. A warning we need to take seriously." Sophia pulled away from him, her mind racing. Natalie was all she had left. Their parents had died in a car accident 5 years ago. It was just the 2 of them against the world. If something happened to her sister because of this investigation, she'd never forgive herself. "I have to call it off." The decision solidified in her chest. "I have to drop the investigation and walk away." "Sophia, no. Yes." She turned to face him. "I can survive losing my career, Jonathan. I've done it before. But I can't survive losing Natalie. She's everything to me. If you back down now, Marcus wins. He gets away with everything. I don't care." Tears streamed down her face. "Let him win. Let him steal from the company. Let him destroy my reputation. None of it matters if my sister is safe." Jonathan grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me. If we stop now, you'll never be safe. Marcus will always have this leverage over you. He'll use it again and again. The only way to protect Natalie is to finish this. You don't know that. I do." His voice was steel. "Because I've dealt with men like him before. They don't stop unless you force them to stop." Sophia wanted to believe him, wanted to be brave, but the image of Natalie on that video, smiling and unaware, haunted her. "I can't risk her life on a maybe." "Then don't." Jonathan's eyes burned with sudden intensity. "Risk it on a certainty. I'm calling the FBI, tonight, right now. We give them everything we have, and we put Natalie in protective custody until this is over." "The FBI?" Hope and terror warred in her chest. "Can we even do that? Marcus has stolen from a publicly traded company. That's securities fraud. The FBI's jurisdiction. And with what my investigator found, they'll have enough for warrants by morning. It could work. Maybe. Possibly. If everything went perfectly, and if it didn't, Natalie paid the price." Sophia closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision crushing her. Choose to fight and risk her sister. Choose to run and live in fear forever. "Okay," she whispered. "Call them." Jonathan was already dialing. As he spoke in rapid, clipped tones to whoever answered, Sophia moved to the window and pulled back the curtain slightly. The black sedan was still there, watching, waiting. She let the curtain fall closed and turned back to Jonathan. He was ending the call, his expression grim but determined. They're sending agents now. 30 minutes. And Natalie? They're dispatching protective detail to Boston. She'll be in a safe location within the hour. Relief flooded through her, so intense it made her dizzy. Jonathan caught her as her knees buckled, holding her against his chest. It's going to be okay, he murmured into her hair. I promise. It's going to be okay. She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this nightmare would end. But as headlights swept across her windows and the black sedan's engine revved to life, Sophia knew with bone-deep certainty that things were about to get much, much worse. The FBI agents arrived in unmarked vehicles, professional and efficient. Special Agent Chen, no relation, he'd assured her with a tight smile, set up equipment on her dining table while his partner swept the apartment for bugs. They found 3, one in her bedroom lamp, one behind her living room TV, one in her phone itself. Marcus had been listening to everything. How long? Sophia's voice sounded distant to her own ears. How long has he been watching me? Based on the equipment, at least 3 weeks. Agent Chen's expression was carefully neutral. Maybe longer, 3 weeks. Every conversation, every phone call, every moment she'd thought was private. Jonathan's hand found hers under the table, squeezing hard. We need Miss Chen and Mr. Rivers to wear wires, Agent Martinez, the female agent, said. Go back to the office tomorrow as if nothing happened. Get Marcus talking. We need him to incriminate himself. You want us to be bait. Sophia's laugh was sharp. You want us to walk into his trap. We want you to help us catch a dangerous criminal. Agent Chen leaned forward. Your sister is safe. Marcus's people don't know we're involved yet. But that window closes the moment he realizes you're not backing down. Sophia looked at Jonathan. His jaw was clenched, every muscle tense. She could see him calculating risks, weighing options. What if something goes wrong? He asked. We'll have a tactical team positioned throughout the building. You'll never be alone with him. At the first sign of danger, we extract you. At the first sign, Sophia repeated. What about the sign right before danger? What about when he has a gun to our heads? That won't happen. You can't guarantee that. Agent Chen and Martinez exchanged glances. They couldn't guarantee anything, and everyone in the room knew it. There's another option, Agent Martinez said slowly. We can arrest Marcus tomorrow morning based on what we have now. The evidence is strong. He'll likely go to prison. But Jonathan heard the unspoken word. But his partners will stay free. We know Marcus isn't working alone. There are at least 2 other executives involved, possibly more. If we move too fast, they'll scatter, destroy evidence. We'll lose our chance to take down the entire operation. Sophia's head pounded. More people involved. More people who wanted her dead. I need air. She stood abruptly, moving to the balcony door. Miss Chen, I wouldn't advise going outside. She ignored the agent, stepping onto the narrow balcony into the rain. 4 stories below, the city glittered with indifferent beauty. The black sedan was gone. But that didn't mean they'd stopped watching. Jonathan followed her out, closing the glass door behind them. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. We can let the FBI handle it their way. You've already sacrificed enough. Have I? She turned to face him. Because from where I'm standing, I haven't sacrificed anything. I'm still alive, still whole. My sister is safe. Sophia, your career is in ruins. Your apartment was bugged. You've been terrorized for weeks. And I let it happen. The admission tasted like ash. I let Marcus do this because I was too afraid to fight back. Too worried about what people would think. About protecting my precious reputation. That's not fair to yourself, isn't it? Rain soaked through her clothes, but she barely felt it. I've spent my entire adult life running from the past. From what David Morrison did to me, from what people said. I've let that define every choice I've made. Trauma does that. It changes how we see the world, but it doesn't have to. She grabbed his hands. Don't you see? This is my chance. My chance to rewrite the story. To be the woman who fought back instead of the woman who ran away. Jonathan's eyes searched her face. You're talking about wearing the wire. I'm talking about ending this. Really ending it. So that 5 years from now, I'm not still looking over my shoulder, wondering if Marcus will come back, wondering if some other man will use my fear against me. It's dangerous. So is living in fear. They stood in the rain, water streaming down their faces, the city's heartbeat pulsing below them. Then Jonathan pulled her close, his lips finding hers in a kiss that tasted like rainwater and resolve. When they broke apart, his eyes were dark with something fierce and protective. If we do this, we do it together. No more secrets, no more lies. And if anything goes wrong, you run. You forget about me and you run. Jonathan, that's not what I agreed to. It's what I need. His voice cracked. I can't watch you get hurt because of my mistake. I can't survive that. The raw vulnerability in his words shattered her remaining defenses. Okay, she whispered. Together. But we both run if things go wrong. Deal. They went back inside, dripping water across her hardwood floors. Agent Chen looked up from his laptop. We're in, Sophia said. Tell us what we need to do. The briefing took 2 hours. By the time the agents left at 4 a.m., Sophia's head was swimming with protocols and code words and emergency procedures. She had a wire taped under her blouse, a panic button disguised as a bracelet, and instructions to get Marcus talking about the embezzlement, the threats, everything simple, except it wasn't simple at all. Jonathan refused to leave. He stretched out on her couch, fully clothed, one eye on the door. Sophia tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow held menace. At 5 a.m., she gave up and made coffee. Jonathan joined her in the kitchen, looking as exhausted as she felt. When this is over, he said, accepting the mug she offered. When Marcus is in prison and your name is cleared, I want to take you somewhere. Where? I don't know yet. Somewhere far from this city. Somewhere we can just be two people getting to know each other. No offices, no titles. No past trauma hanging over us. The image he painted was so beautiful it hurt. That sounds like a fantasy. Maybe. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. But I'm allowed to have fantasies about a future with you. Sophia wanted to say something, to tell him she had the same fantasies. But her phone buzzed before she could find the words. A text from a blocked number. Your sister's apartment building has very poor fire safety codes. Would be a shame if something happened. Her blood turned to ice. She showed Jonathan the message with shaking hands. They know, she whispered. The FBI said Natalie was in protective custody. They said she was safe. Jonathan was already calling Agent Chen. The conversation was brief and brutal. When he hung up, his face was ashen. Natalie never made it to the safe house. She left her office building, got in a cab, and disappeared. The protective detail lost her in traffic. The room spun. Sophia grabbed the counter to steady herself. What do you mean, disappeared? They don't know where she is. They don't know? Her voice rose to a shrill. The FBI doesn't know where my sister is? They're tracking her phone, but it's turned off. They're checking with the cab company, reviewing traffic cameras. They'll find her. When? After Marcus kills her. Sophia's panic crystallized into rage. This is exactly what I was afraid of. This is why I wanted to back down. Sophia, listen to me. No. She backed away from him. I'm done listening. Done trusting. Done letting other people decide what's best. She grabbed her jacket and keys. Where are you going? To fix this. She headed for the door. I'm calling Marcus. I'm telling him I'll drop everything. I'll sign whatever confession he wants. I'll disappear from the city. Whatever he needs to let Natalie go. Jonathan moved to block her path. You walk out that door, you throw away everything. The investigation, your career, your chance at justice. I don't care about justice. I care about my sister. If you negotiate with him now, he owns you forever. Then he owns me. Tears streamed down her face. But at least Natalie lives. Jonathan stared at her for a long moment. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the war between keeping her safe and respecting her choice. Finally, he stepped aside. I'm coming with you. No. Yes. His voice was iron. If you're going to sacrifice yourself, I'm not letting you do it alone. They made it to the elevator before Sophia's phone rang again. Blocked number. She answered with trembling hands. Hello? Sophia Chen. The voice wasn't distorted this time. It was familiar, female, impossible, Rebecca. I have your sister. Rebecca's voice was tight with fear. Marcus is making me do this. He's going to kill both of us if you don't stop the investigation. You have to help me, please. The desperation in Rebecca's voice was real, terrifying. This wasn't a betrayal. It was a hostage situation. Where are you? The Old Rivers Industrial Warehouse on the pier. Dock 47. Come alone or he'll know. And Sophia, he has guards everywhere. This is a trap. He wants you dead. The line went dead. Sophia looked at Jonathan. His face had gone pale, but his eyes blazed with determination. The warehouse is mine, he said quietly. I know every inch of that building, and I know how to get us in without being seen. Jonathan, this is insane. So is everything else we've done. He cupped her face. Your sister needs you. Rebecca needs you, and I'm not letting you face Marcus alone. If we do this, we might die. I know. He pressed his forehead to hers. But some things are worth dying for. You taught me that. Sophia made her decision, not out of bravery or rage or desperation, but out of love for Natalie, for Rebecca, for this complicated, infuriating man who'd somehow become the most important person in her world. Okay, she whispered. Let's go save my sister. They called Agent Chen from the car, speeding through pre-dawn streets toward the waterfront. He ordered them to wait for backup. Jonathan hung up mid-sentence. The warehouse loomed against the gray sky, massive and empty. Most of the building had been abandoned for years, waiting for demolition that never came. The perfect place for a trap. Jonathan parked 3 blocks away. They approached on foot, moving through shadows and alleys. The wire under Sophia's blouse felt like it was burning her skin. The panic button on her wrist might as well have been a ticking bomb. There's a service entrance on the north side, Jonathan whispered. It leads to the old maintenance tunnels. We can get to the main floor without being seen. And then what? Then we improvise. They slipped inside through a rusted door that shrieked loud enough to wake the dead. Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. Every shadow held danger. Every sound promised violence. The tunnel was pitch black and reeked of decay. Jonathan used his phone flashlight to navigate, one hand gripping hers so tight it hurt. They emerged into a vast open space filled with empty crates and broken machinery. Voices echoed from somewhere above. Sophia recognized Marcus's smooth tones, but she couldn't make out the words. Then she heard it. Natalie. Crying. Sophia started forward, but Jonathan pulled her back. Wait, he breathed in her ear. We need to see the layout first. How many guards? Where the exits are. My sister is crying. I know, but if we rush in blind, we all die. He was right. She hated that he was right. They crept closer, using the crates as cover. The scene that unfolded made Sophia's stomach turn. Natalie sat tied to a chair in the center of the empty warehouse floor, tears streaming down her face. Rebecca stood beside her, holding a gun with shaking hands. And Marcus stood behind them both, looking completely at ease. 4 guards positioned at the corners. All armed, all watching. This is bad, Jonathan whispered. Before Sophia could respond, Marcus's voice rang out, amplified by the empty space. I know you're here, Sophia. I can hear you breathing. Her blood froze. Come out now and I'll let your sister live. Make me come find you and I'll kill her first. Then Rebecca. Then I'll take my time with you. Sophia looked at Jonathan. His face was anguished, pleading silently with her not to do this. But what choice did she have? She stood up, hands raised, stepping into the light. I'm here. Let them go. Marcus's smile was venomous. There she is. The woman who couldn't leave well enough alone. I said I'd drop the investigation. I meant it. Just let them go. Oh, I'm sure you did mean it. Right up until the moment you started working with the FBI. Marcus gestured to one of the guards. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? I own half the people in this city, including several very helpful employees at the federal building. The FBI had a leak. They'd walked into this knowing she was wired. Marcus moved closer, his footsteps echoing. Take off the wire, Sophia, slowly. Her hands shook as she reached under her blouse, tearing away the tape. The tiny microphone dropped to the concrete floor. Marcus crushed it under his heel. Better. He pulled a gun from his jacket. Now let's talk about what happens next. You're going to draft a very nice suicide note explaining how the guilt of your affair with Jonathan drove you to embezzle from the company, how you framed me to cover your tracks, how you couldn't live with what you'd done. No one will believe that. They will when they find the evidence I've planted. Bank accounts in your name, emails from your computer, witnesses who'll testify they saw you accessing the financial systems. You're insane. I'm thorough. Marcus turned the gun on Natalie. And if you don't cooperate, your sister dies first. Then Rebecca. Then Jonathan. Because I know he's hiding in those crates somewhere. Sophia's world narrowed to the gun aimed at her sister's head. Okay, she whispered. I'll write the note. Just don't hurt them. Smart girl. Marcus handed her a laptop. Sophia's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Once she wrote this, it was over. Her life. Her career. Everything. But Natalie would live. That's all that mattered. She started typing. And then, impossibly, gunfire erupted. The warehouse exploded into chaos. FBI agents burst through every entrance, tactical gear gleaming. Marcus dove for cover. His guards opened fire. Natalie screamed. Jonathan appeared from behind the crates, tackling Marcus before he could shoot Sophia. They went down in a tangle of limbs, fighting for the gun. Sophia ran for Natalie, bullets whizzing past her head. She reached her sister, started sawing at the ropes with shaking hands. I've got you, she gasped. I've got you. A gunshot rang out, louder than all the others. Sophia turned. Jonathan was on the ground, blood spreading across his chest. Marcus stood over him, gun raised for the killing shot. No, the scream tore from Sophia's throat. She threw herself forward, slamming into Marcus. They crashed to the ground. His gun skittered away. They grappled, his hands finding her throat, squeezing. Darkness crept into her vision. She couldn't breathe, couldn't fight, couldn't do anything but stare into Marcus's hate-filled eyes. Then Rebecca was there, swinging a metal pipe that connected with Marcus's skull. He crumpled. Sophia gasped for air, her throat on fire. FBI agents swarmed around them, handcuffing Marcus, securing the guards. But Sophia saw none of it. She crawled to Jonathan, pressing her hands against the wound in his chest. Blood soaked through her fingers, hot and terrible. Stay with me, she begged. Please stay with me. Jonathan's eyes fluttered open. He tried to smile. Told you, he wheezed, some things are worth dying for. Don't you dare. Tears blinded her. Don't you dare leave me now, Sophia. His hand found hers, squeezing weakly. I love you. Have to tell you, in case. No. She pressed harder against the wound, as if she could force his blood to stay inside. You're not dying. The paramedics are coming. You're going to be fine, bossy, he murmured. Love that about you. His eyes closed, and Sophia's world ended. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and fear. Sophia sat with blood drying on her hands, Natalie's arms wrapped around her, while doctors worked to save Jonathan's life. 3 hours of surgery. 3 hours of not knowing. 3 hours of replaying every moment, every choice, every word she wished she'd said differently. Agent Chen appeared in the doorway, his expression carefully neutral. Marcus Webb is in custody. His guards are cooperating, giving us names of everyone involved in the embezzlement scheme. You were right. There were 4 other executives. We have enough evidence to put them all away for decades. Sophia felt nothing. Not triumph, not relief, just a vast emptiness where her heart used to be. Rebecca? Natalie asked when Sophia couldn't speak. Protective custody. When she testifies, we'll help her and her mother relocate. New identities, financial assistance for medical bills. She's lucky Miss Chen didn't press charges for the kidnapping. She was a victim, Sophia whispered. We all were. Agent Chen nodded. The Board of Rivers Corporation has issued a formal apology. They're offering you the senior director position, with a significant raise and retroactive pay for the suspension period. Sophia laughed, the sound hollow and broken. Tell them I quit, Sophia, Natalie said gently. You don't mean that. Yes, I do. She stood, needing to move, needing to do something other than sit and wait. That company took everything from me. My reputation, my safety, my dignity. And now Jonathan is dying because I couldn't walk away when I should have. He's not dying. The voice came from behind them. Sophia spun around. Dr. Reeves stood in the doorway, still in surgical scrubs, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. Mr. Rivers is out of surgery. The bullet missed his heart by centimeters. He lost a lot of blood, but he's stable. The next 24 hours are critical, but he's a fighter. I think he's going to make it. Sophia's knees gave out. Natalie caught her, held her while she sobbed with relief so intense it was physically painful. Can I see him? The words came out strangled. He's unconscious. Will be for hours. But yes, 5 minutes. Room 407. Sophia moved through the hospital corridors on autopilot. Her hands were still shaking as she pushed open the door to Jonathan's room. He looked so small in the hospital bed. Tubes and wires connected him to machines that beeped steadily, monitoring the life she'd almost lost. His face was pale, bruised along the jaw where Marcus had hit him. She pulled a chair close, taking his hand carefully, mindful of the IV. I'm here, she whispered. I'm right here. His fingers twitched against hers. Maybe unconscious recognition. Maybe muscle reflex. She didn't care. She held on like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to life. You saved me, she continued, voice breaking. You've been saving me since the moment we met, and I was too afraid to see it, too caught up in my fear of being vulnerable, of giving someone power over me. But Jonathan, you never wanted power over me. You wanted partnership. Equals. Us. The machines beeped. He breathed. She talked. When you wake up, things are going to be different. I'm not going back to that company. I don't care how much money they offer or how many apologies they make. That place is toxic, but I'm not running either. I'm going to start my own consulting firm, be my own boss, make my own rules. She squeezed his hand gently, and I want you with me. Not as my CEO or my employer or anything with a power dynamic, just as the man I love. Because I do love you. I think I've loved you since that first elevator ride. I was just too terrified to admit it. The door opened. A nurse checked Jonathan's vitals, adjusted something on one of the machines, and left them alone again. Sophia watched the rise and fall of his chest, letting the rhythm soothe her raw nerves. You told me some things are worth dying for, she said softly. You're wrong. Some things are worth living for. And you're going to live, Jonathan. You're going to wake up, and we're going to figure this out together. The messy, complicated, beautiful way that real people do. She stayed until the nurse made her leave. Natalie took her home, helped her shower the blood away, tucked her into bed like she was a child again. Sophia slept for 12 hours straight, dreamless and deep. When she woke, Natalie was there with coffee and news. The press is having a field day. CEO shot protecting the woman he loves. Embezzlement scandal exposed. Board of directors resigning in disgrace. You're being called a hero. I'm not a hero. Sophia took the coffee. I'm just someone who survived. That's what makes you a hero. They went back to the hospital. Jonathan was awake, still weak, but conscious and alert. His eyes found Sophia the moment she entered, and the relief in them made her breath catch. You're alive, he said, voice rough from the breathing tube. So are you. She moved to his side, taking his hand. You scared me. Sorry. A ghost of his old smile touched his lips. Had to make a dramatic gesture. It's what we CEOs do. Former CEO, Natalie corrected gently from the doorway. The board voted you out while you were unconscious. Something about judgment being compromised and liability concerns. Jonathan's laugh turned into a wince. Good. I was going to resign anyway. Sophia stared at him. What? I did a lot of thinking during surgery. Well, technically I was unconscious, but the thinking happened after. Right before I woke up. He squeezed her hand. That company was my father's dream, not mine. I've been running it because I thought I had to. Thought I owed it to his legacy. But Sophia, I don't want to spend my life maintaining someone else's vision. I want to build something new. Something that matters. Like what? I don't know yet. His eyes held hers. But I'd like to figure it out with you, if you'll have me. Natalie quietly excused herself, closing the door to give them privacy. Sophia sat on the edge of Jonathan's bed, careful not to jostle his injuries. I meant what I said when you were unconscious. I'm starting my own consulting firm. No more working for people who can destroy my career on a whim. I'm taking control of my own life. That's brilliant. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb brushing away a tear she didn't know had fallen. You're going to be extraordinary. I want you to be part of it. The words tumbled out. Not as my partner in business necessarily, but as my partner in life. Someone who sees me for who I am, scars and trauma and ambition and all. I do see you. His voice was fierce despite his weakness. I've always seen you. She leaned down and kissed him. Gentle, careful, a promise of things to come. When they broke apart, Jonathan smiled. So, what happens now? Now you heal. Sophia settled into the chair beside his bed, their hands still intertwined. And when you're better, we figure out what comes next. Together, as equals. I like the sound of that. Me too. The next 6 months were a blur of depositions and press conferences and slowly rebuilding. Marcus Webb and his co-conspirators were convicted on multiple counts. Rebecca received immunity in exchange for testimony and started fresh in a new city with her mother. The Rivers Corporation board was dissolved and new leadership installed. Sophia launched her consulting firm from her apartment. The first 3 months were terrifying. Then clients started calling. People who'd read about her in the papers. People who admired her courage. People who wanted someone who understood the real cost of standing up to corruption. Within 6 months, she had to hire 2 employees. Within a year, she needed office space. Jonathan spent his recovery investing in startups, mentoring young entrepreneurs, discovering he loved teaching more than running corporations. He and Sophia moved in together. Fought about stupid things like whose turn it was to do dishes. Made love like people who'd almost lost each other. Built a life that was messy and real and nothing like the fantasy she'd once imagined. 2 years after the warehouse, Sophia stood on a stage accepting an award for professional excellence. The audience applauded. Cameras flashed. She gave a speech about resilience and second chances and the importance of trusting yourself. And in the front row, Jonathan watched her with pride shining in his eyes. Afterward, as they walked through the city streets hand in hand, he stopped suddenly. What is it? Sophia asked. I just realized something. He pulled her close. We never went on that trip, the one I promised you, where we could just be 2 people getting to know each other. We know each other pretty well now. True. He kissed her forehead. But I still want to take you somewhere, away from the city and the memories and everything we've built. Just us. Where? I don't know. Somewhere with a beach. Where no one knows our names or our story, where we can just exist. Sophia pretended to consider. A beach sounds good, but wherever we go, I'm bringing my laptop. I have 3 client presentations due next month. Of course you do, he laughed. I wouldn't expect anything less. They walked on through the cooling evening, past the building, where they'd first kissed, past the office that had once defined her entire world. None of it had power over her anymore. She'd reclaimed her story, rewritten the ending. Jonathan? She said as they reached her apartment building. Yeah? Thank you. For being patient with me. For seeing past my fear. For loving me even when I couldn't love myself. Always. He pressed his lips to hers, tender and sure. That's the easy part. That night, curled up together in bed with the city lights streaming through the windows, Sophia thought about fate. About how a single moment could change everything. About how the worst night of her life had led to the best years. She'd been trapped in an elevator with a man who terrified her, who made her feel things she'd sworn never to feel again, who challenged every wall she'd built around her heart. And in that trapped space, in that moment of fear and vulnerability, she'd found something she never expected. Freedom. Not from the man, but with him. The freedom to be fully herself, to demand respect and love and partnership in equal measure, to fail and succeed, and try again without shame. Jonathan stirred beside her, pulling her closer in his sleep. She pressed her face against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart, and smiled. They'd survived betrayal and violence, and their own worst fears. They'd fought through trauma and doubt and impossible odds. And they'd emerged not perfect, not undamaged, but together. That was enough. That was everything. Outside, the city slept. Inside, two scarred souls rested in the home they'd built from the ruins of what came before. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new clients, new adventures, new chances to prove themselves. But tonight, there was just this. Just them. Just love that had been tested by fire and emerged stronger for it. Sophia closed her eyes and let sleep claim her, knowing that whatever came next, she wouldn't face it alone, and that made all the difference. The end.